from Titus Grown by Mervyn Peake. This tower, patched unevenly with black ivy, arose like a mutilated finger from among the fists of knuckled masonry and pointed blasphemously at heaven. At night, the owls made of it an echoing throat. By day, it stood voiceless and cast its long shadow. This is Gothic. Previously on Gothic, our travelers found themselves at the castle of Lazarus Caine, Lord Bledson, where at a dinner party they discover that one or more of them may be in line to succeed Lord Bledson as protector of Bledson and surrounds. However, to do so, they're going to have to survive the night in Lazarus Caine's deadly, dangerous castle. Will they? Let's see, because the lights just went out. I believe Grace screamed.
I was going to say, I remember screaming very loudly.
So Grace screamed. What does everybody else do in the moment of the lights going out?
Well, I think Mr. Candlewick would be on guard for an attack. I'm no expert in these sort of things, but normally when you get jumped, it's when people flip the lights out. So I would like Candlewick to be on guard, ready for whatever's coming, trying to figure out exactly what's going on and what kind of machinations this evil overlord has for us.
Who says he's evil? I mean, he's like offering up his protectorate to you.
Have you seen his butlers and the shitty staff that he has?
And the company he keeps.
Screams evil overlord. Plus, wait a sec. I'm fairly certain I remember that our connections with him were all very poor.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
Except maybe strangely for Grace's, who...
Mine was meant to be more poor than that.
Oh, funny. Grace, yours was, if I remember correctly, that you had not thanked him for giving you flowers at one of your performances. You had something else in mind?
Maybe this was a thing where he was repeatedly sending me flowers. One of these dudes, just like every performance, has this big bouquet, and he's trying to outperform all the other bouquets, and, it's pretty clear that he doesn't want to take the lack of a thank you card for an answer. Yet I keep not sending him a thank you card.
I see.
Yeah, note to self. Don't send thank you cards. Get invited to spooky house parties.
And that's what happens when you don't send thank you notes.
I don't know what's I'm more shocked at, that he would, take umbrage with this, or the fact that Grace accepted a invitation out into the middle of nowhere in the rainy night to someone who she has done nothing but scorn.
Oh, this is fine. That's true. That's a good point.
It's like, what else do I have going on this weekend? Nothing? I guess I'll go and show up at that guy's house.
I'll just go see what he's serving for dinner.
The lights have gone out. There are screams, not just Grace's, but other people scream too.
Okay.
What are you all doing?
I think I would like to immediately take to my feet and try to take in my surroundings in the dark as best as possible. Try to get a gist if someone is coming for me, if I'm under attack, or if this is just some parlor trick.
What I would like you to do then is act under pressure.
Second roll of the game.
The second roll of the game.
Let's see here. And a total with my cool bonus of 9.
On a 7 to 9, the keeper, me, is going to give you a worse outcome, hard choice, or price to pay. And as I mentioned last episode, what I like to do is actually give you a couple of choices, and you get to choose from them. So you are preparing yourself for an attack, essentially. What I see happening here is you've got a couple of choices. You grab up a knife from the silverware in front of you, and you kind of swing around kind of wildly because you're so expecting an attack, and you end up hurting somebody nearby. Or You push back so quickly from your chair that you actually end up tripping over it and wind up kind of sprawled over your chair while you're in the dark still. Or you leap up from your chair and start moving away from the table, at which point you'd bump into something rather frightening.
You know what? I would rather appear less than I am, and I don't want to hurt people because I am trying to be a good guy, even though I'm monstrous. So I'm gonna take the falling over in the chair and the plippity plop onto the ground.
Okay. So you leap up and kind of stumble backwards, but you fall over your chair and are now in a big heap on the ground. How about Lori?
Oh, let's see. Read a bad situation.
Okay, excellent choice. So what are you doing when you're reading a bad situation? Because in Monster of the Week, it's the actions that trigger the moves, not necessarily just stating a move.
Oh, got you. Well, I'm just really trying to figure out what's going on, the best way to assess the situation, who's hurt, am I in any direct danger, and is there anything I can do to protect anybody?
Okay, go for it.
So would that be a read a bad situation?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
If only we had chosen that first, rather than having to figure out what it was you were actually doing.
Yeah. So I rolled a 10.
Oh, nice. So on a 10, you get a hold 3, for those of you who are not as familiar with Monster of the Week rules. Jesse now has a number of questions that he can pose to me, and I have to answer them. And you don't have to use them all now. You can save some for this same situation as it continues.
What's the biggest threat?
Okay, so you feel that there is someone nearby being dragged off. You actually hear the sound of a stone sliding on stone, and then a scream that one of the mini screams that then got cut off by, like, as if a hand or something was over the mouth of whoever it was that was screaming.
Okay, I'll use the second one. What's the best way to protect that victim?
You can kind of identify the direction that that's coming from. You have pretty good senses, I assume, as a pseudo-angelic type of being. And you can actually try to grab a hold of that person and wrench them away from whatever it is that is trying to take them away.
Then that is what I'm going to do. If I act on the answers, I get a +1 ongoing while information is relevant.
I'm going to call this protect someone. That seems fairly straightforward.
That seems pretty straightforward to me as well.
Roll plus tough and add +1 for your
that's
+1 ongoing.
Good. 11.
Ooh, 11. Nice. In fact, on a 10 plus on protect someone, you get to choose an extra effect. You suffer little harm. All impending danger is now focused on you. You inflict harm on the enemy. You hold the enemy back.
Be a hero.
I hold the enemy back. I will hold the enemy back.
All right. So, Lori, in the darkness, you hurry to where you have heard this person being pulled into what you think is probably a secret door, and you grab them, and you can feel their waist in your arms, and you start yanking them away. But then you also feel something clawing at your clothes. But you yank on the person that you're trying to help, and you shove away the other thing, whatever it might be. Then you hear that sliding sound of the stone on stone again, and you have someone in your arms at the moment. But we're going to come back to that. Grace.
I was just gonna kind of rely on, my practice moving around backstages and sets behind curtains and things like that to remember my sense of where everything is in the room and get my back up to a wall as fast as I can and try and just listen really hard and figure out what's going on.
As it turns out, the lights come back on. And when they do, when the lights come back on, you were in the dining hall. Now you are not. So, Lori, you find that you are actually in a hallway lit by gas lamps in sconces on the wall, and you have in your arms one of the women that was at the table earlier. She appears to be 16 or 17 years old, a little panicked and struggling against your grip on her at the moment.
Pardon me, miss.
Let me go, she says.
I am sorry, but I had to stop that thing from dragging you away.
Why are you holding me? What do you want? Where are we? She says.
We seem... wow. We seem to have left the dining hall somehow. Where is everyone else?
Let me go. And she beats on your chest some.
Of course, miss. What?
All right, you let her go?
Yes.
All right. She scrambles away from you and presses up against a wall, but she doesn't run down the hallway.
What's got you frightened, miss?
You had a hold of me. In the dark, you were trying to... Oh, what were you trying to do?
But the beast was trying to drag you away.
Says the beast. You drug him away.
Yeah, you, bro.
You call yourself the beast? How horrible.
Right. Last time I saved you then.
Actually, this is probably you're probably going to be trying to manipulate someone here and trying to get her to change her impression of what happened. So that's plus charm.
Manipulate this poor woman.
Plus charm. 7. Okay, at least it's a 7.
So on a 7 and 9, they'll do it, whatever you want. And I assume right now what you want is her not to panic and be frightened of you.
Please calm down, miss.
They'll do it, but only if you do something for them right now to show that you mean it.
Is there something that I can do to show you that I mean you no harm?
Are you a bad person?
If you only knew how good of a person I actually am. You still might be frightened. No.
Damn.
I am not. I am not a bad person. I mean you no harm.
I thought you were saying for a second that you're not a good person.
Who are you? I didn't recognize you. I recognized that other one, the one with the weird eyes. I saw him only once at a curio shop, but I recognized him, and he scared me at the time, but I don't know you. Who are you?
My name is Laurie. Let's just say he and I have both had our differences and have worked together in the past. From as far as I can tell, he is a good person.
Don't you want to kill him? Laurie, isn't that the...
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell her that.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for saying that one out of mouthful of wine.
Not kill.
So that's where we find Laurie and...
What is your name, miss?
My name is Esbella.
Esbella? What a lovely name, Esbella.
I'm going to leave Laurie and Esbella for a moment. Let's go to Grace. Grace, you tried to push yourself up against a wall where you would be safe.
Yeah, that was kind of my first instinct.
Yeah, you felt like you had to move a lot further than you should have. And when you finally hit the wall, it just seems like it's about maybe 10 feet back further than it was. And when the lights come back on, you find yourself in a fairly large bedroom. With a 4-poster bed, a fireplace in one corner with the fire going. In fact, Nathan Redbone is right in front of you, throwing up onto a what looks like a bearskin rug.
Well, I can't say as I blame him. Those things are awful.
Holy crap! Oh, bugger! What the? Says Redbone. And he's getting up and he's wiping his mouth off, and he actually takes one of the paws of the bearskin rug and he wipes his mouth, and he's like, "Holy, what the?" And you yourself feel a little queasy, and it's not from you haven't had much to drink.
It's not from that, my dear. Please compose yourself.
Sorry, miss. I don't know what happened. Where the hell are we?
Well, taking in our surroundings, I'd say it's safe to say we're in a bedroom. Although I cannot say how as we got here.
He actually does laugh a little bit, and he's like, yeah, I see that, but weren't we just in a? I mean, I've been drinking for like 2 hours now, and I do have blackout issues, but I don't remember coming up here. Were we? Did you? Are we? Did we?
No, sir. I can assure you, this was not a blackout situation. Well, I mean, it kind of was. You see, since the lights went out, and when they went back on, here we were, in this strange room, which is not the room we started in.
I see.
I'd like to start looking around the room, and kind of like, are there any doors in it? Windows?
There are windows. They have thick red velvet curtains over them.
All right.
I mean, the curtains go all the way down to the floor. You were looking around, so I would actually call this read a bad situation.
Dice. Roll plus sharp. Oh, Boise. That's a 5.
That's a 5. Hey, that's our first experience of the adventure.
Mark experience.
I like stick my head behind a curtain and then can't get back out.
So yes, what you see as you glance over there toward the fireplace, there are what appears to be a pair of boots, kind of partially hidden underneath the flow of the curtains, and it's possible that those curtains are bulging out in such a way that someone might be attached to those boots.
I don't say anything because they can hear me. But I would like to pull out one of the weapons I chose is fighting sticks, which I've decided is removable boning from my corset. So I just pull it out, and I would like to stalk very slowly and quietly towards the curtain and poke it with my fighting stick.
She's a professional.
Redbone watches you with his eyes wide, actually, but
I put my finger up in a shush gesture.
He nods, in fact, and pulls a knife out of his own boot.
Yeah, Redbone.
Okay, so let's leave you all for a moment and go to Chauncey. Chauncey, you tripped over your chair and fell on your proverbial arse, proverbial, metaphorical, and real. You find yourself on a balcony, actually. Apparently the second floor. Rain is beating down on you. You're still on your arse, but rain's beating down on you from the storm that's ongoing outside because this balcony is outside. There's a couple of big French doors, glassed-in French doors behind you on the house side, but you can't see beyond them because they appear to be covered by what look like red velvet curtains.
Okay. Is my hat still on?
That's very important.
Extremely important. Did I lose my hat?
Has not been lost. No, it is still on.
Oh, excellent. All right, well, in that case, I suppose I'll clatter up to my feet, kind of take in the whole thing, let it sink in for a moment, and kind of marvel at so this is what it's like to be on the other side of the curtain.
Literally.
Oh, okay. I contemplate for a moment the times I've done similar activities to others in service to my Dark Master. And, peer maybe ever so cautiously over the balcony, thinking about that moat, thinking about the headlines in the newspapers, body found floating in the moat. Kind of just taking the area to me. I suppose there's no one else out here with me, is there?
There is not.
Oh, good. Well, in that case, I'm going to brush my coat off, and being one who, while I am a tad bit immortal, I'd rather not chance how gravity affects my body. And I'm gonna make my way to this French door, and I'm gonna try to go back inside. Clearly, I've been bamboozled.
How about we get a roll from you too? Let's go ahead and sure. Let's go ahead and do a read a bad situation. I mean, you're kind of
read a bad situation.
Yeah, you're in a bad situation.
I'm in a bad situation. Body found floating in the boat.
Yeah, so that's going to be plus sharp.
Okay, plus sharp.
Mm-hmm.
So a grand total of 6.
Well, 6 is experience.
Yay! I'm winning by losing. Oh.
I mean, you've got the moat down there, and you don't want to feel what that feels like to fall into it. So you go to the French doors, but they do appear to be locked. Now you can. I mean, it doesn't feel like a very solid lock. You feel like you could break it pretty easily, but If you do...
You're stuck forever and you can't get back inside.
Yes, you're just stuck on this balcony forever. No, you could break it pretty easily, but if you do, the sound of that is going to carry.
Oh, I see. Okay. In that case, no, I'm not about this sneaking about. I'm going to let them know of my disdain. I have some, being a monstrous, from the Monstrous Playbook, I have some natural attacks.
Okay.
And one of the natural attacks I have is Magical Force, with a range of close and hand. And I would like to just blast these doors in.
You want to, what you're saying to me here in Monster of the Week terms is you wish to kick some ass on a door.
Yeah, I just want to thrash this door. I'm rather perturbed.
You wish to kick some glass.
You know what?
Clearly, they do not know who they are messing with.
Really, the action is probably going to be act under pressure, because despite the fact that you're using one of your attacks, you're not actually attacking anything that can hurt you back.
Have you met broken glass?
Well, that's also true.
I'm doing it from a distance, too.
All right, so I'll give you either one. You can do a kick some ass if you want, or you can do act under pressure.
All right, we're going to go for the rule of cool, and I want to try to act under pressure as best I can.
Go for it.
Grand total of 11.
11. All right, you do what you set out to do. Okay. What does your magical force look like when you use it?
My decided that my magical force is in the ethereal shape of of blades of energy, almost as if summoning up ethereal versions of swords or knives or anything that cuts. Nothing too fancy, but just more of a slashing, thrashing. Not so much a punch, but a.
Okay. So do you just sort of stare at it really hard, or do you make motions with your hand? How does this work?
I feel like there needs to be some flourish to it, so I'd probably hold my hand out. You would know that it's coming from me.
Okay, so you're just waving your arms around kind of in martial arts / motions.
Yeah, something like that.
Here's what that looks like then. So you are looking at the French doors. You know you could probably just pop them open with just your regular strength, but you decide that you're not happy with the evening, and so
F those doors.
You make your motions, you start just slashing your hands through the air, and as you do, slash marks appear across the French doors. They look strange for a moment, because it's almost like the glass and the wood has been melted away with only sort of a blackness behind them, but then they just burst away from you in a rage of shards of glass, and that red velvet behind them is just shredded, and it starts blowing away to either side. And beyond you see a lightly lit area. It's lit by candles, like 3 or 4 candles, and you see a clawfoot tub in the middle of the room. Essentially, it's a very large clawfoot tub, and it is filled with steaming water. And
hell yeah, that sounds nice.
You see, actually, in the tub, a fully clothed person. In fact,
this no longer sounds nice.
This is the person that you heard Grace refer to as Priscilla at the dinner table, and she's in the tub, fully clothed, but she's standing up, and she, as the curtains flow open and the glass flies through, her eyes widen as she sees you backlit by lightning, and she screams. But at the same time, hands come up out of the water and grab her and pull her down.
What?
Lori, you find yourself here now with this girl that you know her name is Isabella.
Isabella. I would, okay. Gathering thoughts. I will...
You do still have one more hold from your read a bad situation.
I know, that's what I'm looking at. Are there dangers we haven't noticed?
As a matter of fact, there are.
I was going to say, I assume so.
So this is a hallway, like I said, lit with fitful gas lamps. No windows looking out onto the outside world, but there are alcoves. And one of those alcoves is right next to you, and there is a suit of armor in that alcove. And as you look around, knowing now that Isabella is a little calmer than she was, the suit of armor that is in that alcove actually raises its arm just slightly and then falls forward right toward you.
Isabella, stay behind me, please. Trust me.
She screams.
Well, as I say that, I will use one of my moves.
Okay.
Cast out evil.
That's a thing? You've got that?
I do have that. Cast out evil. I may banish an unnatural creature from my presence.
No wonder we're not friends.
I was gonna say, you're the divine, right? That's your playbook?
Yes.
It's hardcore.
And my roll comes up with my tough as... Come on. 10. Yes.
How do you imagine this move working? And does this... do you have, like... You can just do this all the time, or, like, some of the time, or...
Cast out evil. You may banish an unnatural creature from your presence. Roll plus tough. On a 10 plus, it is banished. On a 7 to 9, it takes a while for the banishing to take effect. The creature has time to make 1 or 2 actions. Either way, the banished creature is unharmed, and you have no control over where it goes. This move may be used on unnatural hunters. On a miss, something is keeping it here. That's bad. And I imagine it is a casting out. I raise my hands, and light glows, and they, if they are a natural creature, they disappear from my presence.
Okay. The suit of armor falls on you and does 1 point of damage, non-armor defeating.
Okay, I also have divine armor.
Ooh.
Okay.
So that's a 1 armor
Dang.
holy.
Okay, nice. So you take no damage from this. Pieces of armor clatter all around you as the thing more or less disintegrates when it hits you. The various pieces only being held together by wire and in the frame that it was on. But you do see behind it in the wall, retracting, is a what you can only describe as a prod or a lever, a piece of stonework that is now sliding back into the wall and clicking back into place.
What kind of machinations are in this accursed hall?
I don't know, says Isabella. It's also very horrible. Chauncey, there's water splashing everywhere now as she struggles against the hands that are pulling her down. She actually gets a pretty good grip on the side of the clawfoot tub, but there's just so many hands. There's like a dozen probably coming up out of the water. There's no way that there could be this many people under there.
I hesitate.
You recognize that Priscilla's a terrible person.
Okay, you hesitate, and I'm going to use one of my...
I'm still trying to get used to the whole being a good guy thing and just not walking beyond and leaving this alone.
Oh, that makes sense.
You
hesitate. Her last grip, her fingers loosen on the side of the tub, and she is pulled down below the water. And there's just some splashes of water out of the tub, and then the waters are silent, and you can see even from your angle that the water is just completely smooth now.
Damn it! God, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to try. I don't even want to attempt to do this. I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going to try to reach in after her. I guess that's what a good guy would do.
Okay, so you reach your arm in, and we'll go ahead and roll protect someone.
Here we go. Protect someone is a tough roll, so that's a grand total of 5.
Welcome
Mark
to
experience.
another experience point.
Woohoo!
I'm learning how to be a good guy.
And your hand touches the bottom of the tub.
Damn it.
You're like, I don't know, there's hair in there. I don't know really want to touch it.
Oh, gross.
Consider her fate. Think of well, it could have been me, but damn it. How heavy is this tub?
It's probably, I don't know, it's a big clawfoot tub made out of, solid gold. So, no, it's not, it's not made out of gold.
I was going to say porcelain, but okay.
Let's call it 150 pounds.
All right, I'm gonna let my frustration get the better of me, and I am going to just try to push this thing over on its side, and just out of frustration and just being pissed off in general for hesitating.
So it takes a little bit of effort, but your rage and your adrenaline are enough that with the water in it and everything, it's really pretty heavy. But you like get it tipped up, and water starts pouring out of it, and as it pours out, it's easier and easier, and then you just flip the whole tub over. And water just flows all over the hardwood floor and starts trickling down to lower levels. But the tub flips over, and there's nothing comes out but water. It's just empty otherwise, and there's nothing below it. I mean, it was a clawfoot tub.
No, nothing. All right, so I'm gonna kind of like grunt in frustration to myself, kind of look for the exit. As I try to make my way to the exit, I'm gonna think the only thing that Lord Caine is going to inherit here tonight is the grave. He's going to answer for every life that's lost tonight.
Let's go over to Grace.
Okay.
So you're in the room with Redbone.
I was about to poke the curtain with my fighting stick.
Indeed you were. Let's call that you're wanting to kick some ass, because, yeah. So, kick some ass.
It's an 11.
God damn. What are you...
My only good roll tonight.
So, on a 10 plus, you gain the advantage and can take +1 forward or give +1 forward to another hunter. Now, in Monster of the Week terms, taking something forward, usually a +1 forward, means that on the next roll, or if it's +1 ongoing, then it's ongoing until the end of the circumstances. You get that +1. Or you can inflict terrible harm, which is +1 harm. Or you suffer less harm, -1 harm.
I poked them in the esophagus.
The last one. You force them where you want them.
I actually kind of do force them where you want them is good, but I actually kind of prefer gain the advantage, take +1 forward, because I don't know who this person is, and I think I'd rather have a +1 forward than put them in a different place apart from with their back against a window. So what I have is a whalebone stick about as long as from my wrist to my shoulder that I have whipped out of my corset, and it's one of my 2 fighting sticks, and I have poked them with it in a fencerly fashion.
Okay. You jab the curtain, and you go at it pretty good.
It's a firm poke.
The curtain actually falls down from its curtain rods and reveals the fact that there are, in fact, just a pair of boots sitting there on the floor underneath the window.
Well, I'm glad I didn't force them where I wanted them. On my feet.
Fortunately, because of the heavy velvet curtain, you don't end up breaking the window or anything. But
cool.
And in fact, the window is a set of French doors that open out onto a small balcony looking out over the rain-swept moors and the lightning flashes thereupon. However, you do see on the moors below, you see someone running across them. Because there's got to be someone running across the moors.
Are they in a white dress? Because that's very important.
And it's hard to tell from a distance who or what that might be, but it seems like a figure that is, humanoid.
I was going to say bipedal. Or...
Yeah, they're running on 2 legs and stumbling. And in fact, as they run across the moors, you see in another flash of lightning that they are being chased by things that are not bipedal. 4 or maybe even 5 dog-like shapes, mastiffs, maybe huge shapes. But it's so hard to tell details in the rain and the storm.
I close the French door firmly.
Redbone says, "What are you looking at?"
Oh, why, there was just, some wildlife outside that I'd rather not.
Wildlife.
Are we on the second floor? Like, is this I'm assuming I'm like up high.
Yeah, so there is the balcony,
Okay.
but yeah, it does appear to be the second floor. And from what you remember of the outside, there appear to be 5 stories to this castle.
Dang.
Because you could see the balconies outside. There was no light coming from any windows. It's not a small castle.
All right. Well, I suppose we better go lock the front doors. Those were rather large canine figures I just saw outside. And I'd like to find the door and leave the room and try and find my way back downstairs.
Okay, so you and Redbone make your way out through the door that is there from the bedroom. Redbone seems to give a wistful look back toward the bed, but doesn't say or do anything. And at the fireplace, with its crackling fire and its warmth, but he just rubs his head and follows.
Oh, you look so tired, darling. If you'd like to go to bed, I'm sure Mr. Caine wouldn't mind.
Well, he says, no, I like the heft of your stick. I think I'm going to stick with you.
I like him. He can stay. I do like a Zorro twirl and keep going downstairs.
Lori, let's go to you. You're still in the hallway there with Esbella.
Right.
What are your plans?
So there was actually nothing with the suit of armor that fell on me. Nothing seemingly unnatural, just the mechanism that retreated.
Do you want to investigate a mystery on that?
I will. Oh, yeah, okay. Plus sharp, 10.
Ooh, 10. 10's nice. That's a whole 2.
Oh, jeez. All right. What is being concealed here?
So you kind of stand up through the rubble of the armor and examine that back wall of the alcove, and you can now, with examination, you can see fairly easily that there is one stone there, kind of in the middle, that is not mortared to the ones around it. And in fact, you can get kind of a hold of it and kind of pull it out a little ways and see that it's on what looks like a kind of a piston, so it can be pushed out from the other side.
All right. I would like to say, well, turns out it was nothing unnatural at all. If you trust me enough, Esbella, I can take us to others that are nearby.
I don't really. But she looks around and goes, but I'm not, yeah, okay.
Take my hand.
And you actually notice that she reaches into a bag that she has kind of tied at her sash that she's wearing around her waist. And she reaches into her bag and kind of holds on to something, but then she pulls her hand out of the bag and kind of cinches it tight again, and then stands up, nods, and goes, "Yeah, okay, lead on."
Take my hand.
You really want a lot from me, don't you? Okay. She takes your hand,
and at this point, I will use one of my moves.
Ooh, do you have what I think you have?
More?
I have angel wings.
Ooh, you do. Nice. Angel wings.
When I level up the next time for my character in my other game, that's what I want. It's a good move.
And I have to roll plus weird. I can go anywhere I want instantly, but if I take someone with me, I have to roll.
Yeah. Is it anywhere, or do you have to have been there before?
I can go instantly to anywhere I've visited before, or to a person I know well.
Okay.
And my goal is to catch up with Grace.
Okay.
But when I carry 1 or 2 people with me, roll plus weird. On a 10 plus, you all go where you wanted. On a 7 to 9, you don't quite manage it. Either you are all separated, or you all appear in the wrong place. Yay! I rolled an 8. So either we're separated, or we appear in the wrong place, or we both appear in the wrong place together.
You appear next to Grace. You probably don't even know this because you've never stuck around, because you've been doing your teleporting thing. But for anybody who would be looking at it, I kind of like the idea that there's a momentary, just a kind of an after image of actual angel wings spreading, and then you vanish and you're somewhere else.
That sounds beautiful, Patrick.
But yeah, so you appear next to Grace, but Isabella is not with you.
Damn it.
He finds my whalebone fighting stick pressed gently but firmly into his Adam's apple.
Redbone actually scrambles backward and winds up on the ground again. He is like...
In his own vomit?
In his own vomit. He slips on his own vomit and is back on the floor. And he's like, I am not having a good night.
Oh, I'm so sorry, darling.
Grace, it is I. Please lower your weapon.
I do apologize. And I do. I put it down, like, tuck it in the fold of my skirts demurely.
Okay.
What is going on in this accursed place?
Where did you just appear from?
I was in a hallway, and let's just say I can be where I want to be.
So you noticed something weird about this being's eyes, and when they appear here, you also have this sense of a smell of chamomile. A little chamomile action going on.
Oh, beautiful. Got a little lavender in there, darling. It'll be just really nice.
And almost the sound of flapping wings for just a split moment.
I would guess I'm probably uneasy, but Grace is never willing to distance herself from a potential ally.
I actually think that maybe you aren't absolutely sure that this being is part of the prophecy, but that it's becoming more and more apparent as these things happen.
Makes sense. That makes sense to me. Like, maybe it's a prophecy that's like this individual will have, I don't know, maybe 3 physical descriptors and then, be able to do these mysterious things.
So what's your plan now, Grace and Lori?
Well, I don't know about you, but I have seen things running out on the moors, and I would personally quite like to lock the front doors to make sure nothing else gets in before we can recoup ourselves and get out.
Yes, even though Lazarus had decided to keep us in here anyway for the evening to survive.
Yes, but as long as, there's no, wild animals running through the halls or anything like that.
Have you seen something?
Yeah, I just said on the moors,
okay.
I've seen some...
Redbone's like, you said there was, what?
Nothing you needed to worry about, dear. I'm
good
so
Lord.
sorry.
He stands up and flicks vomit off of himself.
I thought it was maybe wolves or something chasing somebody outside, and I just wanted to make sure that...
Nathan, you know you will be protected.
None of them got inside. You didn't wake up anywhere close to anyone else, did you?
I ended up in a hallway, and I must say there is some strange... shall we say, machinations going on in this house.
Yes,
we started in the dining room. I ended up in a hall. There's strange levers pushing sets of armor down the hall at me. And as far as I can tell, I think we're dealing with a quite mad set of traps and triggers set around the house. So if we do proceed, we must be careful.
All right, well...
There was one with me, and...
Oh!
We happen to be separated, so...
Oh, well, how did you get separated? Was it some mystical force, or...
There may still be some dark things happening here.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
As for Bella's whereabouts, I am unsure where she ended up.
Well, let's go find her. I was about to head downstairs. Do you agree?
Agreed.
We will leave Grace and Lori with that, and we will rejoin Chauncey.
Okay.
You have just turned over a clawfoot tub.
Sworn vengeance.
Sworn vengeance upon the tub people.
Or whoever installed this infernal contraption.
Sworn vengeance upon the plumbers of Bledson. So, what is your current goal? You're headed out?
Current goal is to make contact with something that is either living or dead or soon to be dead, as determined by me. Priscilla's gone. Well, alright, hold on. I gotta think like a good guy. Maybe I should investigate this tub thing a bit more now that I've totally trashed it.
That is investigate a mystery, then.
God, you know what? Alright, I'll do that. I'll investigate this tub and try to gather my wits a bit more before I storm out for vengeance.
Okay, that's plus sharp.
That is 12.
Ooh, look at you. That's a whole 2. So you get your choice of those questions there.
So, first one I want to know is what is being concealed here?
You look at the bottom of the tub, going even so far as to pushing it back over and examining it. And it doesn't feel quite as solid as it should. Not like it's spongy or anything, but like there's just something wrong with its reality.
Okay. So this might indeed just be some kind of legit magic as opposed to some charlatan's trick. Okay. In that case, I'm going to try to identify the hands that I saw, as in what sort of creature.
What sort of creature is it? Sure. From what you saw of the hands, they seemed like the hands and arms that you would see in someone who has been dead for at least 6 months to a year.
So like a rotting corpse.
Corpse hands, yeah.
Corpse hands. Okay, excellent. In that case, if this was magical, and I have no means to chase after this thing, nor do I have a desire to chase after it. For all I know, she's already dead. You have to be realistic about these things. I suppose I'm going to press off into the rest of the house and try to make contact with somebody else.
Okay. So you move out into the hallway. The hallway is not well lit. It is dark. Do you have any means of illumination, or do you wish to just proceed in the dark? So in the bathroom there were candles.
I guess I could take a candle with me.
Yeah, those are in those little like cup things already, where you can have like a little saucer with a handle on the side that you can carry them.
Sure. Yes, that'll do that.
They tend to illuminate your face more than they illuminate anything else around you, but there you go.
Chancy Candlewick will take a candle and go down the hall. A little cautious now. It's a little spooky.
Yes, it is. As you walk down the hall, you hear the whistling of a wind somewhere in the building. You hear creaks. You hear what sounds like the teeniest little bits of metal on metal grinding together. Somewhere far away, you hear a scream. And then somewhere closer by, you hear something that sounds like a thud, like a body hitting something solid. And that's actually probably just up ahead of you. There's a hallway, and then the hallway splits into a T, and you think it came from the right side of that T.
I would like to investigate said thuds in the night.
Okay. You go around the corner, and your candlelight weakly illuminates a form on the floor. The figure is that of a woman. She is she's not unconscious or anything. She's stunned a little bit, but she is slowly pushing herself to hands and knees, and then rights herself some. And you see that it is that girl that you recognize from the curio shop.
Good evening.
She looks up at you and her eyes go wide. And she goes, "You."
Yes, I'm going to tip my hat to her.
She scrambles backward a little bit, obviously frightened of you here in the dark, only lit by the candlelight.
Do I get a good sense about her that there's a healthy dose of fear in her? Or is she putting on a show trying to trick me out?
How about read a bad situation?
Okay, excellent. I advance menacingly.
He can't help his menacingness.
That is a total of 8.
8 is a hold 1. So from the list for read a bad situation, you can ask one of those things. There are some that make more sense than others given what you were trying to determine.
Looking at her and kind of taking in everything else, there was a big thud. Are there any dangers we haven't noticed, or I guess I haven't noticed?
Okay, so you're wanting to kind of know if she's dangerous to you and that she's acting.
Right, yeah. And also, if she is an accomplice. That's because I heard a thud.
Okay. She seems to be genuinely frightened. The danger that you may not have noticed is actually coming from just beyond your candlelight, and it steps into view as you look up from her having evaluated her fear as real, having had some experience with fearful victims. And you look up and you see a skeleton advancing toward you. I mean, it is a completely de-skinned, de-organed, no flesh on it whatsoever skeleton advancing toward the both of you and holding a machete in one hand.
The Gothic Podcast is produced by C. Patrick Nagel, with theme music by Zoe Hovland and cover artwork by Jared George Art. Listen to the Gothic Podcast on Podbean or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the Gothic Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, or email us at thegothicpodcast@gmail.com. Support for the Gothic Podcast comes from you, our listeners, so please visit our Patreon page. Thanks.